What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another Tottenham update for you guys. And I tell you what, this is a big update. Very big update. And we're going to start off with Harry Kane. And Jason Burt from The Telegraph is saying that Bayern Munich are understood to have set a deadline of midnight tonight for Tottenham to accept their latest offer for Harry Kane. The German Giants are considering now turning to other transfer targets if Tottenham do not finally agree to a deal. We do imagine the deal is the same deal that was spoken about in the last meeting, which was around 100 million euros, 85 million pounds, including add-ons. So, Sim, what are you thinking?
If it's 85 million including add-ons, I don't expect this deal to get done. If they're not improving that offer, I think if they're still there's two ways you can look at this. Either Bayern are feeding this information to Jason Burt of The Telegraph to put pressure on Tottenham to accept this offer, or it's genuinely true that they actually set a deadline on midnight to basically take it or leave it so they can move on to other targets. Either way, it doesn't give me the impression that Bayern seem very confident this deal is going to get done. And then off the back of that, you have the meeting on Monday where there was a big valuation gap in between Bayern and Tottenham. You have that Bild article that came out during the week about why Kane, why 100 million, Kane isn't worth 100 million essentially, from a publication which is basically known as the mouthpiece of Bayern Munich from a sports side. So, I mean, the arrows are pointing in the direction that Kane probably is going to stay, in my opinion, from what it looks like, unless there's a serious change in Bayern Munich's offer in the next, or I don't know if it's true whether they've actually set a deadline or it's just a tactic, but either way they're going to have to up that offer. That offer they had, 85 million including add-ons, isn't getting accepted. That's the reality. Now if it's 85 million plus add-ons, maybe Tottenham look at that, but I don't think at this stage Tottenham are going to accept this offer because Champions League money. If Spurs do get Champions League this year, which I think is more likely with Harry Kane, then I think that that 85 million, if 85 million including add-ons, you can make that up by qualifying for the Champions League. So I don't think Tottenham will look at that and think it matters too much, that kind of fee. But then once you're getting to the £100 million mark, then I think there's a change. But I think at this point, it's Kane Year's Eve tonight. We're gonna have to start celebrating Kane's Day.
Yeah, look, we'll see about that. But it does seem that since that meeting, that Bayern's confidence is decreasing.
As much as they've been saying,
decreased.
They've been saying we're still confident it was a positive meeting, but none of the actions suggest that.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. And I think in terms of the price, £85 million, including add-ons, I think, they said after that meeting there's a £20 million valuation gap. But I do kind of feel like if they did meet in the middle and added a 10 million onto that, the deal would get done. Like, I would accept that if I was Daniel Levy.
So what was that, £95 million including add-ons? Yeah, maybe if they added 10 million, but they have to do it. And also it depends what the add-ons are. If it's like 80 million, if it's like £85 million plus £10 million in add-ons, I think there's a conversation to be had for that. But I think at this current rate, I'm assuming it's probably like 75 million plus 10 million add-ons. I just don't think Tottenham are going to accept that offer. I don't think it meets their expectations at all. So
I think what Bayern need to do to get this deal done is do 85 million pounds plus 10 million pounds in add-ons, and I think the deal will get done. And I think that, look, they can set deadlines all they want until tonight, but at the end of the day, they're Harry Kane. If they do set this deadline for tonight, they know Harry Kane probably won't be going there if they stick to this offer.
Do you think they're serious about a deadline for tonight?
Nah, I don't think so.
I think a tactic?
Yeah, I think it's just a tactic. There's Bayern Munich still have 2 weeks until the new season, and I think they probably know full well. I think they're just trying to put pressure on Tottenham to accept the deal. They probably think that Daniel Levy is desperate to get money in for Harry Kane before the season starts, and they probably think that if they put this little bit of pressure on Tottenham, that Daniel Levy will accept the deal. And I don't think that's the case. Daniel Levy knows how to play poker, very much so, probably better than the Bayern bosses, but Daniel Levy will probably outright reject this by tonight, and you'll probably see more talks going on next week.
They must know who they're dealing with. Levy won't react kindly to these kind of threats or like deadlines put on them. Also, Kane's put a deadline already on it. If he's here by the start of the season, he's going to be here for this season. So that's already one deadline there. And Levy isn't one to basically make the first move and flinch first. So I think even for his ego's sake, he's going to look at you're setting a deadline. All right, we're rejecting it. You better move on then.
Yeah,
off your pop. That's what he's going to say. And then it's up to Bayern whether they're serious about this deadline.
So how do you see it playing out from here?
I don't know. I think this valuation is too big. The gap is too big at the moment. And if I don't know. For me, the impression they're giving off with this news is they're not confident of this deal going through. If they're setting deadlines and trying to put pressure on Tottenham, then they don't know who they're dealing with. You can't pressure Levy into selling. He sells when he wants to sell. So if this is the news coming out, in my opinion, that's an indication that this deal isn't going to get done.
I'm not so sure, to be honest. I do think it's like there will be a breaking point at some point where Levy will accept the deal. I mean, if it is only 10 million that can get the deal done, which I believe is true. I mean, I know they said 20 million, but I believe if they do add another 10 million into that, then the deal probably would get done. I mean, I know it's still a significant fee, but it's not like the biggest gap in valuation.
Yeah, but we don't know. Look, Tottenham are demanding 100 million. Whether we would take 95 million is by the by. Tottenham have set the price of it. Well, actually, Jason Burton said in his article it's 100 million plus add-ons. That's what they want. So right now, if it's 85 million including add-ons, that's still like 25 million apart. So if they add 10 million to that, still 15 million. So they might have to add even more to it. So I don't know. I don't know whether even adding in our minds, maybe adding 10 million might get the deal done. But in Levy's mind, I don't think there's any guarantee.
Yeah. Well, I guess strap in for the roller coaster. Maybe today could bring a lot of news if the deadline for tonight is true, but we'll have to see what happens with that one. But let's move on to more positive news as Spurs are working on incomings, and we got Here We Go for Alejo Veliz late last night. As Romano says, Alejo Veliz to Tottenham. Here we go. Talented 2003 striker will join Tottenham on a long-term deal. Verbally agreed in the morning despite interest from other top clubs. Package worth around 15 million euros plus add-ons to Rosario Central. Medical to take place in the next days. Veliz wanted Tottenham despite an approach from another top European club. Contract will be valid until June 2028. The current plan for Veliz is not to be loaned back to Rosario Central. Decision will be made soon. Documents to be exchanged in the next 24 to 48 hours. And Dan Kilpatrick says that Tottenham closing in on Veliz, as reported by Romano. He's considered as a promising youngster, but not immediate first teamer in a similar category to Pape Matar, and still could be loaned back to Rosario.
Yeah, there's a lot of publications out in Argentina who are claiming that he isn't going to be loaned back to Rosario. But I guess that doesn't technically mean he won't be loaned out. Maybe he comes back and gets loaned out to a European club, and maybe that's the way we see it. So it'll be interesting to see what happens once he comes, and if he remains here and doesn't go back to Rosario. I'm genuinely excited about this prospect. He looks like a real striker with a lot of potential. He's very tall. I think physically he's going to be good for the Premier League. But is he like perfect for Ange's system? All this kind of stuff. Look, those are questions that I guess don't need to be answered right now, because as the article said, he doesn't look like he's going to be a first teamer straight away. So does he have to be perfect for Ange's system immediately? I think the perfect thing to do would be to sign him and then loan him to a European team and then see how he performs in one of the top 5 leagues and for a team who maybe he can get some regular minutes for. And then we can also make room for potentially another striker in the squad, or obviously if Kane's staying, then maybe loan him for a year and then you have him back for next season as a more ready-made player to take minutes in the striking position if and when Kane leaves. So I think it's a good move. I think it's a good price. I'm glad that we're looking to the future. I'm glad we're making signings like this, because that, for me, gives indications of more long-term planning than just the signings that we've been making previously. So I'm happy about it. I'm not expecting him to make an immediate impact.
All right, well, that deal looks to have been wrapped up. We did get the Here We Go from Fabrizio Romano. And can we get another Here We Go today? Let's find out in the next topic, which is Mickey van der Ven, as the Mail reporting that Wolfsburg will hold out for 43 million price tag for Tottenham Hotspur target Mickey van der Ven as negotiations negotiations between the clubs continue. Spurs are offered £30 million plus add-ons for the Netherlands star, and had been hopeful that that would be enough to secure his services. However, we got an Ornstein bomber this morning, and he says Tottenham on the verge of an agreement with Wolfsburg for Mickey van de Ven. Fee approaching €50 million, including add-ons. Once the deal is finalised, the 22-year-old left centre-back will fly to the UK and do a medical and complete a move on a long-term contract. And Romano, after that, gave us the news saying that Tottenham are just waiting for the final green light from Wolfsburg. Then Mickey van de Ven will be done. Talk to a very advanced, as revealed in the last 48 hours. Fee close to 50 million plus add-ons included. Medical in the coming days for both Van de Ven and Alejo Veliz. So a double medical this weekend, apparently.
Yeah, the medical staff are going to be very busy in overtime. But look, in terms of the actual minutiae of the price, I was reading the Ornstein article. He said it's set to be about 34 million base fee, and then about 9 million extra in add-ons. So that will take it to about £43 million, which, to be fair, is quite a surprising fee considering most of the reports throughout the summer have been closer to the £30 million mark or £25 million plus add-ons. So maybe this is an indication of why this deal has kind of taken as long as it has, because I think maybe Tottenham have been put off about this kind of price, unless they had a previous, because we heard about agreement not so long ago, and maybe it's a case of there was a closer agreement for closer to what we were saying, and now they've put the price up. But maybe we just can't. We can't afford to wait with the season starting. You know, we can't. How much longer can we wait to kind of shave a few more million off? So I think it's the right thing to do to bring him in. Although I would say they are probably overpaying a bit. €50 million is he a player who should be commanding that fee at this stage of his career, given what he's shown? Probably not. I think we're overpaying a bit, but I think, look, you have to deal with clubs who don't want to sell, and you have to deal with sometimes you have to overpay. And so I'm not happy we're overpaying, but I'm happy we're maybe setting aside the chance of missing out on him for the case of a few million and just putting on the table just to get the deal done.
Yeah, I kind of feel like there's always a premium for English clubs when they're in the buying market anyway. So it kind of makes sense to a certain extent. But I'd love to know what those add-ons are. You know, 9 million, quite significant add-ons. So
Champions League football, number of appearances.
That's what I'm saying. So it'd be great. It'd be great to know what they actually are and how achievable they actually are. So I think that if you take away the 9 million of the add-ons, is probably more of a realistic fee, what we expected to pay for Mickey van de Ven. But if those add-ons are met, I think it'll be worth paying it, because it would probably be a success if those add-ons are met. So I don't really have too much problem with it. I'm just delighted that we're finally getting in the centre-back. I gave you my reservations yesterday of the Van de Ven deal, but I think that it is a really good signing for Tottenham Hotspur, especially for the future of Tottenham Hotspur. And when you're looking at the centre-back options we have now, Van de Ven and Romero as a starting pair as a centre-back is really good, but we need to build that around them as well. We can't just go into the season with just them two, with the other centre-backs being fairly incompetent of what we want to do. So it's a good start, but we've left it so late to get other centre-backs in. So let's hope from now until the end of the transfer window we can still work on other centre-back targets. But I'm very happy that we finally got, or looks like that we're finally going to get a centre-back in.
Yeah, for sure. I'm just hoping that the fact that we paid such a big fee, and he's coming in as a €50 million centre-back, I just hope it doesn't, the fans or they don't heap too much pressure on him, expecting him to be this finished article, because he's only 22. He's very, very young. He's only had one season in the Bundesliga, so he's going to make mistakes. It's going to take time for him to adjust as well. He hasn't been here for the whole preseason, so he's going to take time to adapt to how Postecoglou wants him to play. So I expect some teething problems probably, in the first part of the season for him. So if he makes a few mistakes, I hope people don't get on his back or anything like that. But because I really believe once he's settled into the team and grows into himself and gains a bit more experience, I believe this guy's going to be a top defender.
Yeah, agreed. Let's move on and let's talk about Edmund Tapsoba. As Romano said last night, that Spurs are still speaking to people close to Tapsoba. It could be something to keep an eye on, but the main focus is Mickey van de Ven as it stands. And Dan Kilpatrick this morning says that Tottenham have now cooled their interest in Bayer Leverkusen's Edmund Tapsoba as they pursue other targets at centre-half, specifically Wolfsburg's Mickey van de Ven. So, I mean, I do envisage if Kane does go, we maybe will push the button on Tapsoba, but I mean, I can't see it right now.
After this deal's dead, yeah. Unless Kane leaves and we get a big fee for him, and we don't spend the bulk of that fee trying to replace him, I think this deal is pretty much dead, in my opinion. The fact that we overpaid for Van de Ven, I think we were only going to try and go for Tapsoba as well, as we got a good deal for Van de Ven, like in the region of 25 million, and then you can kind of try and get Tapsoba for what, like 55 million, whatever they're asking. They seem to have put their prices up as well. We were prepared to pay 40, but that's apparently very far apart from what they want. So now that Van de Ven's coming in, and he's coming in at a fee which we weren't expecting to pay, I think this Tapsoba deal is done. I don't think it's happening.
Yeah, it's very frustrating because he was the more ready-made player out of the two, and you would feel more confident with Tapsoba coming in from the start of the season, where he can really hit the ground running and become a top defender in the Premier League, like from the off kind of thing. Where Van de Ven, we're going to have to bide our time with him, like you said, a young player coming through, 22 years of age, only really had minimal amount of real top league level football. So, look, like I said, I'm happy with the Van de Ven deal, but I think Tapsoba would have been a much better deal for the here and now.
Yeah, I think so as well. But in terms of like how the back two are going to complement each other, Tapsoba is very much more similar to Romero in the way he likes to be aggressive and be combative and get into duels. And maybe not the lighter touch, but someone a bit less combative like Van de Ven, who's just going to sweep behind on the odd occasion that Romero maybe mistimes a tackle or gets beaten. Maybe that could be a better fit for us in the long term.
All right, let's move on. Another player could potentially be coming into Tottenham this weekend, and he goes by the name of Ashley Phillips, as Ben Jacobs claims that Phillips is set to join Spurs from Blackburn over the weekend if all goes to plan. Spurs able to take advantage of an active £2 million release clause, having failed with a higher offer for the 18-year-old centre-back earlier this window. In terms of Ashley Phillips, where do you envisage him fitting in this season? Do you think either he goes out on loan, he plays for the under-23s, or is he going to be a squad option for the first team?
No, I think a loan deal, in my opinion. This guy had 8 championship appearances last season. It's not like we're expecting him to come in and be a proper option for us, in my opinion. I think another championship loan is probably the best option. Get him playing week in, week out, get that experience. He's only 18. So to expect him to look, unless we really rate him that highly, I don't. We clearly do if we want him, but I don't think we want to put him in the first team. I know he was going to fly out with the first team to join the tour if the deal was going to get done, but it didn't happen, unfortunately. I just think it's best for everyone to put him out on loan and really gain that experience.
What kind of a loan do you think he gets? Championship loan? Or?
Yeah, I would say champion. He played 8 championship games last season. We bought him on the back of that, so he must have done well. So I think another championship loan.
All right, let's move on. Let's talk about Romano comments about Gift Orban last night. And he says, from what I'm hearing, people in the club are considering many names. The scouting team really appreciates Gift Orban. Do you think that this Veliz deal makes any difference to us going for Gift Orban?
It's hard to say. I think if we sign Gift Orban and if Veliz is sticking around, then that might be a real indication that Kane might be off this summer. I can't see us signing 2 strikers and keeping them around. If we also got Kane and Richarlison there, that wouldn't make too much sense. The difference with Veliz and Orban is I don't see us signing Gift Orban and then sending him out alone. I think we would want to use him now because he's been scoring goals in Europe, in Conference League. I know the Belgian League isn't the highest level, but he still banged them in Belgian League. He's a couple of years older than Veliz as well. So do I think the Veliz deal makes a difference? It depends what we're intending to do with him. It's difficult to say. I would like to think no. I would like to think they're independent of each other, but I got a feeling that maybe we want one younger striker just to come in and provide some cover, look to the future. And if we've chosen Veliz, maybe it means we're not going to go for Orban.
I guess it heavily depends on, obviously, first of all, what happens with Harry Kane, and second of all, if we're planning to loan out Veliz or not. And if we're not allowing him to go back, or we don't want him to go back to Rosario Central on loan, does that indicate to you that we want him to stick around, or does that indicate to you that maybe we're still open to a loan around Europe or something like that?
For Veliz, I don't know. For me, it would probably indicate that we want to keep him around, to be honest, because why not let him go back to Rosario for 6 months? Why would people be so against that move but more open to a European move? As much as I do think it's probably better if he does go for a European move. But I think back to Rosario, if it helps get the deal done as well, probably makes sense for everyone if he goes back there for 6 months. But if we're determined to keep him around, I would probably think that's more of an indication we want to use him this season. But I think in terms of the Gift Orban deal, it all depends on Kane. If Kane leaves, I can see us bringing a Gift Orban with Veliz. But if Kane is staying, I don't think Gift Orban comes this summer.
I kind of agree. And last but not least, let's talk about these quotes from Brian Hill Messi coming out today. And he says, I have felt good on return to London. I've noticed I'm in tune with the coach. I'm facing the year with the usual enthusiasm. And I would tell you that even more so because winning the Europa League raises your self-esteem. Some really nice comments from Brian Hill. I always thought that with this manager coming in, I thought Brian Hill and him would get on really well. I think he would fit the system that Ange Postecoglou wants to play. Do you feel like, I know he's going through injury at the moment, so it's probably hard to get rid of him, even if we wanted to, before the end of the transfer window. But do you feel that Brian Hill is in Ange's plans?
I hope so, because I actually think in terms of the wide areas, Brian Hill can be really effective because he's actually a really good one-on-one dribbler. So if we're going to manipulate the ball and the possession in a way which gets the wingers one-on-one with their fullback, I think that could really suit Brian Hill, and he could really have a lot of fun in this system. And I think as well, we know how hard he tries off the ball. He's a really good presser, and he always gives his best, gives 100%. He can play on the left or the right-hand side as well. So I think Brian Hill could be a good option. And in a weird way, the fact that he's injured means he's probably not going to get his move. And that could maybe give him a pathway to be an option for us in the first team. So I agree. I think he's going to really like playing on the Postecoglou. I think Ange will like him rather than like Conte, who just would always preferred like taller, stronger players. Brian Hill's different.
Yeah, I'm a massive believer and a massive fan on Brian Hill, and I really hope that he can knuckle down this season, stay at Spurs, and really make a name for himself now, because the qualities that he does have on the ball, I mean, hardly any of our players in the squad have those kind of qualities. And if we could really utilize him in the best way, I really think he could flourish this season. So, and also, like, a lot of people talk about his physicality and, you know, he's not suited to the Premier League. And I just don't believe that whatsoever. I think that when he first came into Spurs, that might have been the case, but I do think he has worked on it a little bit. Yes, he might be smaller than other players in the Premier League, but I think he's got the natural ability to combat that. And I think before he went on loan on the last day of the window last season, he was having some good performance in the Premier League, and he was matching it with quite physical teams in the Premier League, like Crystal Palace. So I think that people need to believe in him a bit more, in my opinion. But there you have it. That is your Tottenham update for today. Let me know in the comments section below your thoughts regarding all the news stories we brought to you today. Some big news coming out. Let's hope for some more big news a bit later on today. But like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, cover you Spurs.